I love how brazenly corrupt these people are. They don't even try to hide it. They are just so incredibly corrupt, and they show it to the world. We have a breaking news story that Elon Musk's top enemy over the past few weeks, USAID, was investigating Starlink's contracts in Ukraine. The agency was in the midst of a probe into the billionaire's equipment at the time of Musk's assault. And you can almost draw a direct line between Musk's relentless crusade against the US aid and them investigating him. We know that Elon Musk is petty. We know that he loves to retaliate, and this is a prime example. On top of that, I just love it. I love how corrupt they are. Ivanka Trump used USAID money for multiple events, records show. The organization that they are saying is run by radical left lunatics who want to spread Marxism to other countries was helping Ivanka Trump do certain international development events to help other countries understand that the US model of democracy, or at least what we had, was better than an authoritarian regime. And even if you think democracy is imperfect, as it is, it's still better than any authoritarian regime across the globe, and part of the reason US aid existed was to, number one, provide aid and relief to other countries, but also to help maintain our soft power and our control over countries that China is currently eyeing. All right, and before we break down the Elon Musk and the Ivanka Trump story, I just want to show you guys that there is currently a court battle going on right now about whether or not US aid will exist in the future. First, we got this article this morning. Thousands begin forced leave at USAID under Trump's plan to gut the agency. Forced leaves, pulling all but a small fraction of staffers from the U.S. Agency for International Development off the job around the world, began Friday, while employees turned to federal courts to try to roll back the Trump admin's swift dismantling of the 6-decade-old agency and its programs worldwide. The agency was created under John F. Kennedy to make sure that the Soviet Union at the time, but now Russia, doesn't have control over some countries where the U.S. should have soft influence. A judge was holding a hearing Friday afternoon in the lawsuit from federal workers associations who argued that Donald Trump lacks the authority to shut down an agency enshrined in constitutional legislation. Quote, "Close it down," Trump said Friday on social media of USAID. Crews used duct tape to block out the agency's name on a sign outside its Washington headquarters Friday, and a flag was taken down. Someone even placed a bouquet of flowers outside the door. And then we also just got this article. A judge officially put a pause on Trump's plan to put USAID staff on leave. A federal judge on Friday paused the Trump admin from carrying out its plan to place thousands of workers at the U.S. Agency for International Development on administrative leave. And I know I started this video out talking about how brazenly corrupt these people are, and I know that it leaves everybody with a little bit of a grim feeling, but just for a little bit of hope, think about all of the times over the past 2 weeks that the courts have stopped Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Right when Trump took office, he tried to pause federal grant funding in the middle of the night, and then immediately after that, Trump tried to end birthright citizenship via executive order, which is entirely unconstitutional. And what do you know? Another judge, one that was actually appointed by Ronald Reagan, so you can safely assume that they are slightly conservative, this judge, they said, dude, you can't just ruin the Constitution with a stroke of the pen, and he shot down the birthright citizenship executive order. So I know that we live in quite grim times, but I will say the courts still exist, and the courts can still put the president in check. Ezra Klein had a really good episode the other day that I'll link in the description where he says, the only reason Trump acts like a king is because Trump can't govern like a president. He doesn't know how to be a good president, so he's trying to put on this persona of a king. And the second that we begin to bend the knee or to obey in advance and say, welp, I give up. Right when we throw our hands up and say it's over, Trump actually takes a win. Us pushing back, whether it's on social media or in protests or even these silly videos that I make to give you guys the news, it's incredibly, incredibly important. Speaking of these videos, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to help boost it. But a federal judge on Friday said he would temporarily pause the Trump admin's plan to place thousands of workers at the USAID agency on administrative leave. About 2,200 USAID employees were set to be placed on leave Friday night at midnight. Judge Carl Nichols delivered the ruling after hearing arguments from the Trump admin and also hearing arguments from two groups representing federal workers in the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. So this is breaking news. Pretty solid to hear that the courts are still standing up, but now let's get on to the blatant corruption. Ivanka Trump used USAID money for events. Records show. Ivanka Trump used money from the United States Agency for International Development for recording equipment at a White House event. The revelation that Ivanka Trump's initiatives used USAID funds for events comes at a time when the agency itself is facing increased scrutiny. It comes amid the Trump admin's drive to end all diversity, equality, and inclusion initiatives across the federal government, with Trump issuing an executive order on his first day, ordering a sweeping dismantling of the federal government's diversity and inclusion programs. Republicans have claimed that money allocated towards DEI by USAID is wasteful. And I've said this 100 times, but there is a middle ground here. Are there agencies within our government that aren't as efficient as they could be? Absolutely, without a doubt. I would bet money right now that certain agencies could be more efficient. And liberals and Republicans should all want our agencies to be more efficient, but that's not what Elon Musk is doing. You don't have to entirely nuke or shred an agency and fire all of the workers to make it more efficient. That is called just corruption. Elon Musk is spreading lies about USAID. He's spreading lies about the Department of Education. And I would open up his Twitter to show you the lies, but it's just, there's so many of them that it's hard to debunk 100 lies over the course of an hour. And that's why Republicans or people who spread conspiracy theories have the upper hand. Because Elon Musk can spread some absolute BS in a tweet. He can just write a paragraph of absolute BS, and it probably takes him 45 seconds to type that out. It would take me an hour or two to do the research, to debunk it, to make the video, and to explain to you guys why what he said is BS. So that allows Republicans or conspiracy theorists to spread lies at muzzle velocity, just lie after lie after lie, and we are fighting an uphill battle trying to debunk them, but I digress. Going back to this, according to USAID documents, Ivanka Trump used over $11,000 from the department in 2019 to buy video recording and producing equipment for a White House event. They purchased software, CDs, tapes, and records, and the purchase was approved by Jennifer Healy, who was serving as a USAID Deputy Chief of Staff at the time. Now, the following day, the White House released a list of all foreign aid programs. This comes at a time when the Trump admin is making plans to dismantle the agency. So just to build on what I was saying a minute ago, you don't have to dismantle the agency entirely to make it more efficient. There is a middle ground. Do liberals want the agencies to be more efficient? Absolutely. I think that we should get people in there to make it more efficient, but that is not what Elon Musk is doing. The richest man in the world is not doing this because of some altruistic reason, because he wants to save the country. He's doing this for his own personal and selfish needs. Now on to the main story, the big story. Elon Musk's enemy, USAID, was investigating Starlink's contracts in Ukraine. Since coming into power, Elon Musk's Doge has barraged USAID, the international aid agency that dispenses food and supplies to nations all over the world. It also promotes American values or what used to be US values. I mean, what they do is they'll go into a country like Uganda that has very strict anti-gay laws, and they'll try to promote the idea of freedom of sexual orientation or freedom of religion or freedom of whatever, because our government believes, and I personally believe, that promoting liberal values in countries that are illiberal will only make the world a safer, more cohesive place. So if some of these Middle Eastern countries that my dad visits all the time, my dad is from Syria, he's Muslim, and he's told me certain Middle Eastern countries aren't really high on the freedom index. You go there and women are treated poorly, minorities are treated poorly, and I think if we want a cohesive, cooperating global structure, then liberalism should be promoted abroad, even if that means promoting diversity in somewhere like Uganda. So what Elon Musk will do is he'll take this and say, the US spent $1 million trying to turn Ugandans gay or whatever the hell. And it's like, no, we're not trying to turn people gay. The money is to promote our values. American values should be promoted in countries that are illiberal, but I digress. This says, The Lever reported on Tuesday that the USAID's Inspector General was in the process of investigating its own public-private partnership between Musk's Starlink and the Ukrainian government at the time that the billionaire's Doge crippled the agency. Publicly available information about that probe is still online. An announcement from last May reads, quote, the USAID Office of Inspector General, Inspections and Evaluations Division, is initiating an inspection of USAID's oversight of Starlink satellite terminals provided to the government of Ukraine. Our objectives are to determine how, number one, the government of Ukraine used the USAID-provided Starlink terminals, and two, how USAID monitored the government of Ukraine's use of the terminals. Musk has since called the agency evil and a criminal organization, though the fact that the USAID is investigating the Starlink activities may suggest ulterior motives for the billionaire's vitriol. I mean, we didn't even need this investigation to know that Elon Musk has ulterior motives. It continues, Musk's, quote, criminal remarks are funny, since it increasingly looks like Musk's Doge activities represent breaches of federal law and therefore may be construed as rampant criminal behavior. On Tuesday, the Washington Post noted that officials at half a dozen federal agencies had raised concerns over whether what Musk was doing was illegal. Those agencies included the Treasury Department, the Education Department, USAID, the General Services Administration, the Office of Personnel Management, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and the White House Budget Office, among others. Doge also suffered its second lawsuit this week when union groups that protect federal workers sued the organization over its hijacking of the Treasury computer systems. Doge has been staffed by a bunch of kids in their 20s who are now engaged in unprecedented, legally risky work. And if you haven't watched my last video about these kids, I urge you to. My last video is incredibly important, and I'll leave it there. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.